Okay, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video I'm talking about if it was worth it for me to go to Central St. Martin's to study fashion journalism. Now actually this is the most asked question I get. People ask me this all the time, like, is Central St. Martin's actually worth it? Like, is it worth paying money to like go to school and study fashion formally, all that stuff? I honestly get that question like almost every day, and I don't know. At first I thought it was kind of weird to address it because I'm still at the school. I just finished my second year and I still have 1 year left, so it's like kind of weird to talk about people that you're going to school to go and see. But that being said, I guess I'll answer the question today. Now, actually, first I'll say why I wanted to go to St. Martin's, some of the positives, and then some of the negatives, essentially. So, why I wanted to go was a few years ago. At the time I was studying chemical engineering at university, but I always knew I wanted to work in fashion. So I did a few internships in design roles. I worked in marketing for a year for a big fashion company. But what I realized was when I started rising in my career, it got to a point where you can't get any further unless you have a fashion degree. And it's not, so they don't care if you have like a biology degree or an engineering degree. They don't care. They just want a fashion degree in something to do with fashion. And at that time, because I was working in fashion, I'd worked as a designer, I'd worked as like in a marketing team. So I was still figuring out what part of fashion was best for me and what part of fashion I wanted to work in long term. And eventually I landed on, I'm really good at telling stories about fashion. I have a YouTube channel. So journalism is the profession that sort of related to me the most, and I felt like I could thrive in the most. But the only issue with that was my whole life I'd never studied anything English based. My whole life all I did was science. I studied chemical engineering at university. My A levels were all sciences. At A levels I did chemistry, maths and sports science. And so I just felt like if I really want to be a good fashion journalist, at some point I'm going to need to do some sort of formal training in terms of writing. Because yes, we can all think we're good writers, but at the end of the day, like, you need actual writers and writing lecturers to mark your work and tell you, actually, that's a bad habit that you have. Change the way you phrase this. And so that's actually the main reason why I went to Central St. Martin's, because I knew I wanted to be a journalist. Fashion was my main passion. And it's like, how do I merge those passions together? And once I saw that Central St. Martin's had a fashion journalism course, I was like, this is perfect. Because a lot of universities don't actually offer fashion journalism, funny enough. It's not that common of a degree. Most degrees are just like journalism. And then with a journalism degree, if you want to go into fashion after you finish school, you can just go into it, essentially. And yeah, so for this reason, the first positive I'll say from going to Central St. Martin's is my writing has improved immensely, so much. My writing is so much better and it can improve so much. But once again, I think that just comes from the fact that I didn't really do any writing subjects. And so I really needed proper formal training when it came to writing at a high level. And so, yeah, in first year, I would say I was quite a terrible writer. Like, there were so many things wrong with my writing that, of course, my lecturers, as they should, were pointing out. And I feel like over the years, I've really improved and I've been able to get a few published articles now. And obviously, I'm still improving quite a lot. But I feel like now that we're at the end of second year, my writing is so much better than it was like 2 years ago. Way better. It's like night and day. It's actually insane. Another huge positive is my knowledge on fashion has improved immensely. Now, I was someone that before I went to CSM, I didn't have a massive knowledge on fashion, but I did read about fashion all the time and I still do. But there were just certain things that, like, without me going to San St. Martin's, I wouldn't have been led in the right direction pertaining that. So I've just learnt better ways to research things. I've learnt more effective ways to research things. I've gotten contacts with people that specialize in different parts of fashion. So I know, okay, I can ask this lecturer about this and she knows a lot about this type of thing. And so my knowledge in terms of fashion has improved insane amounts as well. And when you're in a fashion school where everyone is basically into fashion in some regard, There are other courses at CSM like architecture, and maybe they're kind of into fashion, but not really. But for the most part, most of the courses in St. Martin's are to do with fashion. And therefore, you're just in a school full of people where everyone wants to talk about fashion. Everyone is doing projects about fashion. Everyone's work is about fashion. And it's really fun. Like sometimes I have friends that study like fashion design, MA fashion design, BA fashion design. And sometimes I just like walk into their studio to go and see them and see what they're working on. And it's really good. Like even as a fashion journalist, just seeing like the different techniques they're using, the construction of garments, and all those different ideas, and just seeing design students, because some of the design students at CSM are insanely good. Like the ideas they have, sometimes I'm just like, how the hell do you think like that? Like, how do you even think about that? How did you even come up with that idea? Like, it blows my mind, some of the work that some of these designers do. So I'd say those are definitely the huge positives. Like just having amazing lecturers that have been able to improve my writing immensely is definitely why I went to St. Martin's, and has also been the biggest positive going there. Now on to the negatives, and this is funny enough because I had so many preconceived notions before going to St. Martin's. So for people that don't know, St. Martin's is not actually like a university, it's a college of UAL, which is University of Arts London. So University of Arts London has multiple colleges like St. Martin's, London College of Fashion, Camberwell School of Arts, all these different colleges. And I heard that UAL as a whole was quite racist, and there aren't too many black people in the school, which is true. In St. Martin's, there aren't too many black people. So I went in there on edge, thinking, okay, I'm probably going to experience some sort of racism. But actually, I haven't. Maybe it might be my personal experience, but I haven't experienced any sort of racism or racial abuse or anything like that. I haven't experienced that, not even for 1 second. So I don't really have any crazy bad experiences in terms of that. I'd say actually the biggest negative has nothing to do with university and more to do with time. And so the main thing that I've missed out on going to St. Martin's is career progression. Because like I said, I was in my career and I was sort of building, and yes, not having a fashion degree limited me in certain jobs, but it didn't mean I couldn't do other things. And at school, like I'm just thinking of the past year, for example, I've had so many opportunities. I've had opportunities to work for massive luxury fashion brands and help them with like research projects and different things. And some of them, they're paying like thousands of pounds, tens of thousands of pounds. And all these opportunities, I've had to say no. Because these opportunities are the type of thing that if you do it well, it will lead to more opportunities, which will make you even more money. And it's like, I want to focus on school. I don't want to divide attention between school and this job, because I don't want to do a job wishy-washy or not do it properly, because then I feel like that spoils the opportunity in the future, because then they're just going to be like, this guy, we didn't really like his work, so we're not going to work with him in the future. So rather than have that, I would rather just like focus on school and then not take those jobs. But it's really hard to do that when you're in my position. You don't have a lot of money. If anything, I just lose money because I'm not entitled to a loan, because this is the second degree that I'm doing, and in the UK you don't get a loan for a second degree, only your first degree. So I have to pay for my degree out of pocket, which costs £9,250 a year. So I'm paying for that. Then I have to pay for my living costs, but I can't actually make any money because I'm always going to school. So actually, how I survive is in the summer, when I do my magazine launch. So I launch a magazine, and of course I have things like the Patreon. So honestly, the people that are subscribed to the Patreon or have bought my magazine in any way, thank you so much. I have to say thank you, because that's literally the reason why I can get by. Because in the summer, the money that I make from my magazine, and then over the year, the money that I make from Patreon, which is not a lot, it's maybe like a couple $100 a month, is my money for paying my school fees and to live. And then I have no money for anything else. It's why I don't really buy clothes. I don't buy anything because I just can't afford it. And that's because I've decided to focus on school. But that's been a big drawback to going on St. Martin's. I have like no money because I can't make money, because I can't take jobs, because I don't want to divide attention between like doing big jobs and, you know, going to school. And it's painful. It's painful when you know that okay, I have to budget this like £300 for like this month on like traveling to London and food and all this stuff, and then some company comes and offers you £10,000 to do this job for a month, and you have to say no, because it's that is literally one of those moments where it's like, choose one. It's either you choose this job or like you choose your degree. And so that for me has been the biggest drawback. And then another big thing that going to Central St. Martin's limits is Fashion Week. So before I went to Central St. Martin's, I used to go for all the fashion weeks like Paris, Milan, London. And, you know, I would go around networking, and I would meet all these designers, and I was getting my name out there. But ever since Central St. Martin's, I feel like I've just been in a bubble. Like, I haven't gone anywhere. I haven't traveled anywhere. I haven't gone for any fashion week, because every time fashion week is on is during term time. And so all my friends are always like messaging me and calling me like, are you coming to fashion week? And I'm like, no, I have school. And that happens every single season. There's even fashion week going on now, and we don't finish university till Friday. So I can't even go for fashion week now. The only time I can go for fashion week is in September. And that's not a sure thing. Sometimes we start school in October, sometimes we start in September. So it really depends. And I just feel like I've missed out a lot on, you know, people that I could have networked with, people I could have met. I've missed out on, you know, seeing my friends more regularly at Fashion Week and stuff, because a lot of my friends, they live in different countries. So we would see each other at Fashion Week, because that's the only time all of us are like in one place. So I've missed out on that, like the social aspect of things, definitely. I feel like I've just been locked in a cave doing university work and not really doing too much else. And then as an extension of that, something that I always wanted to make part of my channel, and something that I want to just become part of my channel, is I always wanted to be a guy that interviews designers, like in-person interviews about their work and their collections and stuff. Like basically what Loic Prigent does, but kind of different, because Loic Prigent has insane access, which is why I love his videos, and he actually goes backstage and films it. Mine is more just like an intimate one-to-one interview with a designer, and just talking about their collection and talking about other things, and talking about like what inspires them and all that stuff. I always wanted to have like a segment on my channel where I'd have intimate conversations with different designers in the industry. However, that has not been possible because I never go to Fashion Week. So the people that I could have networked with to make that series on my channel a possibility, people I could have talked to, people I could have pitched the idea to, I never meet them because I'm always in school, type of thing. And so going again, all the drawbacks I think to going to Central St. Martin's in my personal case is less so anything to do with the university having an issue or something wrong with my experience at the school. I think my experience at the school has been amazing. I think it's what me prioritizing CSM over other things does. It makes me lose out on loads of money and loads of opportunities and loads of future opportunities. And so I'd say going to Central St. Martin's, that has been the thing that I have missed out on the most, for sure. And so to answer the major question, which is, do you regret going to CSM or is it worth it? In my case, it's definitely worth it. Like, if I could go back in time, knowing everything I know now, I would still go to CSM, because at the end of the day, I'm 24 years old and I'm going to graduate from CSM next year. So once I'm 25 and I've graduated, I have my whole life ahead of me. If I want to go to Fashion Week after that, I can go. If I want to have that series on my channel, I can do that. If I finally want to, you know, accept offers and make some form of money and earn an actually good living for once, I can do that once I finish school. And so therefore, I feel like the learning that I'm learning formally and the formal training and my improvement with writing and English in general, I think all of that is way more important than any money I could get in the long term or any other opportunities, to be honest. And so that's why for me it's been worth it. But of course, this is very specific information, because if you study design, your experience might be different. And if you study something else, it might be different. But in terms of fashion journalism, my experience has been good. So hopefully I've been able to answer that massive question. And now, if anyone asks me this question, I will literally just send you the link to this video. I'm not going to text the answer ever again. I'm just going to send this link. But yeah, on that note, thanks so much for watching. And if you want to support the channel and get access to extra content, then of course you can subscribe to the Patreon. I feel like now, you know, the Patreon is one of the reasons I can even survive in school. So yeah, help me out. So yeah, definitely join the Patreon if you're interested in that. And I'll be back with another video very soon.